We're live.
Okay. So welcome all of you who's watching us on YouTube. Um, I hope we have a good number of people out there. This hangout is the first ever in history that the Youth Fund is trying to reach out to the whole youth community to be able for you to ask us questions on the application procedure and any other questions around the Youth Fund. We are having our whole team online here in Nairobi and in Norway, and we also have people from our gender unit to answer more gender-specific questions for youth groups who's wondering on this. How this session is going to be is you are watching us on YouTube, since only a few of you could have been on Hangout. So you will post your questions in the comment field, and we have people sitting monitoring and reading all your questions and taking note of this. Throughout the session, various people in the group will answer your questions. And if you feel your question is not answered, please feel free to make another comment. The Youth Fund is currently having its 6th call for applications. We started back in 2009 and have grown ever since. Yearly, more than 8,500 are logging into the application system, starting their applications. A lot of you have perhaps tried before, but either you've been successful or not. You're of course welcome to try again this year. It's a very tough competition. For the 8,000 groups that's starting, only about 40 of you will be successful in the end. So it's a very tight competition. What we are looking for is innovative new ideas and thinkings around the youth empowerment and how youth groups like yourself on the ground can be a part of changing your communities, changing the national policies in the world to make youth participate in decision-making process and economic development in a better way. We are not looking at how fancy you are writing your application, or if you're using the right development lingo and using the buzzword. What we are looking for is the idea that you and your group is sitting with. What's the basic idea in your proposals? And also, we are providing you with templates for the project structure. We're providing you with templates for a budget, which is very easy, and you're supposed to use those templates, and if you do, it's a much easier task to develop this. What you should consider is how can you ensure that the budget and the project structure you are developing are linked together. So if you have an activity in your project structure, that activity should be found in the budget as well, as long as it costs any money, and most likely it will. The application as such is a PDF document you will download from the application system. It's very important that you log into the web portal at www.unhabitat.youthfund.org, where you register and then subsequently download the PDF. The reason why this is important is that the PDF you download is tagged, you could say behind the scene, in the file. It's tagged to your registration. So you cannot just take a PDF from another group that have previously logged in. So it's very important that you log in and download the PDF from the application system. After you've done that, you can sit on your computer. You do not have to be online. You can sit working on this as much as you want until 15 April. 15 April is the deadline for the youth fund. Experience and history has shown that the last day and the last half day before the deadline, the server will experience heavy traffic. This will make it harder to submit your proposal. I would strongly encourage you to upload your proposal the 14th the latest, because then you would avoid any problem with heavy traffic. You can think about when you and a couple of thousand other are continuously trying to upload everything on the server the last couple of hours. It's going to create very heavy traffic, and that will potentially take down the whole server. So please don't wait until the last minute. Also, already now it's 1 month and a couple of days until deadline. Please make sure that you have all the necessary paper that you need. You need to have a scanned copy of your registration certificate. You need to have a list of your management team and your board members with the age and the gender, and also have all these documents ready before you're sitting there at the last hour trying to upload. The application portal will close after the deadline. It will not be possible to log in and upload your application anymore. So then you have to wait for next year. So please, 15 April is the deadline, and this is nothing you can change. And even though you're sending us tons of emails saying that please extend, unfortunately there will be a lot of thousand others that managing the deadline, so we will not take that into consideration. Throughout the session, please ask questions. This session will have English as the primary language, but if there are anyone out there who's not comfortable writing your question in English, you can write it in Spanish or French, and we will answer the question to you through the session as well. But for your French and Spanish-speaking people, we will try to have a hangout at a later date on your preferred language. So, welcome to this first ever Youth Fund interactive FAQ session, and I think I hand it over to India, where Shruti is sitting online to as a representative also for the India Youth Fund. If there are youth groups from India out there listening to us, you should know that we have, thanks to the very good partnership with the Narottam Sexaria Foundation, we have a dedicated youth fund only for Indian youth groups. And Shruti will come online now to welcome all of you from India. She's coming all the way from Mumbai. Thank you.
Hello to all the potential Youth Fund applicants. The India Youth Fund grant is specific to Indian applicants, and we accept grants from all over the country. The grant for the India Youth Fund is a little different. The grant application process is a little different in the sense from the Urban Youth Fund, because we require more documentation. The documentation expectations from applicants are much more than the Urban Youth Fund. A lot of the queries that we often get is whether applicants from rural areas can apply. I'm sorry, but this is an urban grant. All the projects are supposed to be based in urban areas. That's one. Secondly, it is an extremely long process. Another query that we keep getting is that a lot of the organizations have do not have the adequate registration time, which means that some of them have just registered 6 months ago, or in such cases, because of how long the process takes, we do accept applications that have a 6-month registration because the MOUs will only be signed in January 2015. But if you do not have your 12As and 80Gs, which are tax documents, we will not be able to accept your application, in which case you need to come in through a facilitating organization. Your facilitating organization can be an NGO, a university, or a government body. Even including, for a facilitating organization, we require all documentation, including 12As, 80Gs, audit statements, registration documents, MOUs, and extremely important is the letter of agreement between an implementation organization and the facilitating organization. The letter of agreement needs to state that the facilitating organization will take responsibility of the implementation organization in terms of accounting, all the accounting practices, the monitoring of the grant, and transferring the funds to the implementation organization. The whole process, we've realized that a lot of the organizations miss out on one key element of the budget, which is that 10% of the budget should be for admin expenditures, inclusive of salaries. This is something that we've kind of faced a problem with in the last series of applications too, but I think it's something that needs to kind of be kept in mind. And if you have any queries, please post it on the comments and we'll get back to you. So yeah, I'm going to post it back to John now.
Thank you, Shruti. That was for Indian youth groups. I do believe we're getting back to Nairobi for that keeps track of all your questions that's coming on YouTube. So I think back to Nairobi now.
Okay. Right now, Mr. Joe will talk about the gender component. This year we have special interest in having a gender component or projects that deal with gender, focus on gender equality in their projects. So Mr. Joe will talk about the different components that are required and what this all means when we have a gender-focused project. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Joe Bergan from the Gender Equality Unit in Untitled. And as of this year, we have an interesting new component of the Youth Fund, focusing on gender equality and women's empowerment. Now, as I said, it's a new thing, and we are talking about the empowerment of women and girls, but also on gender equality. And it will be quite interesting to see what projects that you can come up with. This is a way of, which is really interesting with the Urban Youth Fund, is that it's really up to you through applying to see what you would like to come up with, the ideas to come up with, and then of course there's a strong competition, but we were really interested to see what innovative things you can come up with. Just on the gender equality, please remember that gender equality is about women, but it's also about men. Sometimes when we talk about gender equality, we tend to forget that we need to have the men and the boys involved as well. So that's something you can think about as well when you're planning some projects.
Okay, thank you. So, any questions right now? So now we'll move on and answer a few of the questions. And you continue to bring your questions. You write them on the YouTube site, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. And our colleagues here will be mentioning the questions, and we'll take turns answering them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions and comments. So the first question from Taco. I would like to know why we didn't receive yet an answer after submission of our requests. So I will give this question to Priscilla to comment about it.
Oh, yes. So basically when you send in your application and you have completed your application, we here, because of the great number of applications that we receive, we do not give feedback to individual applications. What happens is after the call for application closes, we will go through the selection process, and only if your project has been retained, then you will be contacted. But we don't give feedback on projects just like that. Anything you want? Maybe
No, that's good.
The second question is by Dickens. He said that he's a co-founder of an organization in Kenya about country arts, heritage, and economic empowerment projects. And he has developed a financial solution to youth. I would love to present it. I wonder, he said, if there is a channel we can follow to present his new idea. It has not been tried anywhere, and I believe it will offer more solutions to the challenges we face as young people.
So we do not, the Urban Youth Fund is a portal where you apply for funding, but as such, we don't have a platform where you can showcase your project. For that, we would advise you to try and join the different youth networks that exist and the youth platforms that exist, so that you can connect with other people and then talk about your idea. But our portal, the Urban Youth Fund, is specific to the funding that Habitat does, and is, unless your project is selected, then you are not showcased. Did I?
Yeah.
So the third question from Jida, that he's a coordinator of a youth-led organization and he would like to understand the difference between a youth-led organization and a youth organization.
A youth-led organization means the management team has to have a majority of the people involved under 32 years of age. So the management team, the people who are working on the ground in the organization. And then the board must have a minimum of 25% of young people who should be under 32 years of age. That's what we mean by a youth-led organization.
Okay. The fourth question by Odin is said, I have a problem with the UN Habitat. Why not support upcoming organizations instead of supporting organizations which already have the funds? If you say that the Urban Youth Fund is about job creation. We have 4 projects running, but we lack support. How can UN Habitat help us? How can it be easy for small projects like ours to access the funds, or the UN Habitat targets only big organizations?
We do not differentiate between small organizations or large organizations. The main or basic criteria are the organization needs to have a minimum of 1 year registration. So they have to have a certificate that says at least 1 year registered. If they're not 1 year registered, they can apply with what we call a facilitating organization. This can be a large organization. They apply as a partner, where the funds and the contract is signed between your Habitat and this organization. And then the youth organization will still be involved in the project as an implementing organization. So regardless of the size of the organization, whether it's small or large, as long as you are eligible with the criteria, it's important that you read the frequently asked questions and the application guidelines. If you fit in those criteria and rules, then anybody can apply.
Great. So the next question from Bwire Shikuku in Kenya. She says, I am from West Health Solution Youth Group in Busia County, which is highly prevalent to poverty and drug abuse among young people in this bordering and Fisher Community County. Can we apply?
Yes, again, as long as they can prove that the population is at least 10,000 people, they can apply.
Another question by Amiran Deborah Ruth. Does UN Habitat support small-scale business initiatives?
The Urban Youth Fund does not support small business initiatives, but we support projects that are led by young people, whether it is in establishing business, but if you're running a business, we don't give support for that. What we do is we fund you to develop a project that is for the benefit of the community and not for private purposes.
Okay, next question from Michael. Can the organizations that have already benefited from the fund apply again for this year?
The only rule is that if you applied for the fund, you should have already finished the first project, submitted all the required reports, then you're eligible to apply again. But like John Andreas said, the application is very competitive, so it does not guarantee just because you receive funding before, they will get funding again, because we also want to give other new organizations an opportunity to be able to do projects in their communities.
Okay. Another question by Asayev. He writes, our organization established by orphaned youth for orphan children. Can we apply project on issues of children and youth?
John Andres, would you like to answer that question?
The majority of the beneficiaries of the project should be youth between 15 and 32, while we don't see a problem of including children as part of the beneficiary group, but this is a fund supposed to contribute to youth empowerment. So the majority of the beneficiary of such a project should be youth about 15 years. So if this is an orphanage where the majority will be children, you will most likely not be a very successful applicant.
Next question from John. Can a non-registered youth group apply under the sponsorship of a mother organization? Can a non-registered youth group apply under the sponsorship of a mother organization?
Yes. Again, if you're not registered, you could apply with what we call a facilitating organization that's been registered for more than a year. So yes, if you're not registered, you still have the opportunity to take part in project activities if you apply with a partner. Again, I would refer everybody to read the application guidelines and the frequently asked questions to see what facilitating organizations are eligible. Private entities are not eligible, but all non-profit organizations are eligible to be considered as facilitating organizations.
Next question by Raul. He writes, hello, my NGO has completed 2 years since its inception, and I have my account details audited for last 2 years, but it got registered 6 months ago. So is my NGO eligible for this fund?
From what I understand, although they've been functioning for 2 years, the actual registration certificate will reach 6 months. So they will need to apply with a facilitating organization.
Next question from Green Inward Developers in Uganda. How does the Urban Youth Fund ensure equal opportunity?
So this equal opportunities will be based on different acts. So we're trying to have a diversity of projects. Equal opportunity, we will base that on your innovation of your project, I would say. So we try to fund projects that show that they have new ideas to tackle different projects, which means that if you, in your project, you have thought of something that has not been done before, then you do stand a chance, provided that you do satisfy all the other requirements. So we try as much as possible to be equal, to be fair, but we have to keep in mind that this is a fund and we cannot fund everyone, but we try to do our best to have a distribution equally among the different countries that apply and the different areas of work. Yes, and your project being selected will also depend on the assessment of your project. So if we will go through it, we will try to see what are the solutions that you have provided, what are the sustainability methods and approach that you have included in your project, and all this will help in the selection of your project.
Okay. Tanya King writes that she has already applied twice for the funds and is wondering about what makes a strong proposal.
What makes a strong proposal? John Andreas, would you like to answer that?
A strong proposal is a proposal where it's easy for us to understand your idea. So when it's easy for us to understand what are you wanting to do with your project, and then that basic idea flows through the whole proposal. So when you in your proposal document writes about what you're going to do under activities and outputs and outcomes, what results your project is going to have, when we look at the project structure, we find the same activities and the same outputs and results in that project structure. And then when we look at your budget, we find exact the same activities in the budget as well. And it's clear, not complicated, but easy, simple to understand for us. So we can understand how you think when you develop this project. Not how fancy writing you have, but how you're thinking. That is a strong proposal. Further, there are a lot of good projects out there done by youth groups in entrepreneurship or other type of project. Due to the tough competition in the youth fund, if you have an average entrepreneurship project where your groups is doing an amazing job, but the project you're applying to us is you're going to train X number of youth in entrepreneurship, and then they're setting up as their own small job. So we will have about 400 applications like that, at least. In order to pick your proposal as a strong proposal, it has to be something that separates you from the rest. And don't think that this will be a project training 1,000 young people, because that is not realistic. So a strong proposal is ambitious, but yet is realistic. And in your proposal, you have it's measurable. So you have thought through how will you measure the success of your project. So what type of indicators can you develop? And this is, if we select you, we will also work together with you to develop indicators in training sessions and throughout with mentor support. So don't worry too much about if there's academic or fancy indicators. Just give us the possibility to understand what your thinking is like. So you have it's achievable. So be ambitious, but be realistic as well. What's achievable within the resources? And at the end, please, it just looks stupid when you have in a budget saying that your phone bill is going to be $367 just to make exactly 25,000. We understand that you can never estimate a 1-year phone bill down to $1. Then it just looks like you're cooking up your budget. So that would not be a strong proposal.
The next question is on gender. Is a project led by women but targeting both men and women considered to be gender sensitive?
Thank you for the question. To be gender sensitive is that you take into consideration when you do the project the aspects of men and women. So you need to think about it in the planning of your project. You need to think about it in the decision making, and you need to think about it in implementation. So if you think about, does this, what you're doing, does it have different implications on men and women or boys and girls in decision making and implementation, and also on the results, then you are, in a way, you're gender sensitive, because you are thinking, because a lot of things we do, we don't think that it might impact men and women and boys and girls differently. It doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman doing it, but the question is that we include both men and women and think of the different perspectives in the project and everything we do regarding the project.
Sure, there is another question for you. Could you please explain briefly the difference between gender equality and women's empowerment?
Yes. Gender equality and women's empowerment, a lot of time we just talk about them as one. When we talk about women's empowerment, we are specifically targeting empowerment of women in doing things that can assist, that can give power to women. When we're talking about gender equality, we are talking about women, but we should also not forget that men are also involved, because gender equality is about relations. It's also about relations, so it's relation between men and women in society. So in that respect, it's important to think, okay, what are the role of men in this situation? What are the role of women in this situation? But of course, women's empowerment can be an important part of achieving gender equality and working on it. But I think it's important to realize that men are also gendered. We have men and women in the situation.
The next question from Charity. Does UN Habitat fund income generating projects for youth, and if an organization is for young women and girls, and we work with boys and young men, is that regarded as gender discrimination?
Sorry. Can you repeat?
Does the UN Habitat fund income generating projects for youth, and if an organization is for young women and girls, can we work with boys and young men?
Income generation, that's,
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the fund does provide for the income generation activities, and you can work with boys and young men as well. It's because you can talk. Let me see, young women and girls. But it doesn't mean that you have to work, if I understand the question correctly, because it says the organization is for young women and girls. So you can work with the boys and young men as well, but you don't have to. But it's good to explain the reasons why you will have the target group. That's what we want to know. We want to know if you're working with boys and men, we want to know why. If you're working with girls and women, we would like to know why. What are your thoughts? What are your rationality? Why are you working with this particular group?
Joe, last one. How do you incorporate gender sensitivity in activities? Could you provide some examples?
Okay, gender sensitivity in activities. Let's say, as I said earlier, the main thing is that you need to think about what is the impact on men and women, or boys and girls, of this activity. Let's say you are planning an activity, you're planning a training maybe. In your situation, have you planned, are boys and girls able to take part? In some context, for example, the girls may not be able to take part unless you make sure that the arrangement is safe for the girls, so the parents will allow them to go. These are the things you need to take into consideration when you're planning. So, because you can say, okay, the training will be open for both girls and boys, but if you haven't taken into consideration what you need to do, so they're actually able to take part, then you are using a gender-sensitive approach to it. You just think, okay, men and women, girls and boys, will they actually be able to take part?
Next question from Kenya. So climate change is a major issue. Is this being addressed? And how do you incorporate gender in this?
Yes, we have not had many projects that deal with climate change, but we are aiming to get climate change as part of the project proposals. So we hope we'll get some proposals that deal with climate change. In regards to how do you incorporate gender sensitivity into climate change, I will leave that to Joe as our gender expert to answer that question.
Gender sensitivity into climate change. That's a really interesting aspect. It's not explored a lot. So we are really interested in looking at what you could come up with in your local setting. Because basically you're looking at, in your local setting, what impact, is there any different impact on boys and girls, or men and women from climate change? And then are there any different things you need to do to solve the situation, or see what you can do in the local setting? So it would be really interesting to see what you can come up with in terms of gender sensitivity with climate change.
Thank you.
Okay. The other question from Kenya, is this funding opportunity only for the least developing countries?
Thank you for that question. John Andres, if you could answer that question, please.
Yes. No, the Youth Fund is not only LDC. The Youth Fund supports projects from OECD DAC countries. So more or less all countries in Latin America, Africa, and Asia Pacific. If on our website there is a list of all eligible countries, but more or less all countries outside Europe, US, Canada, Australia, and Japan is eligible to apply. So not only LDC, but all countries on the OECD DAC list. Thanks.
Thank you. Is it still recording? It's stopped on the YouTube.
It's just your.
Next question.
So this is about the job area, the job creation department and job area department. So the Urban Youth Fund basically is with the job area. The youth are also affected by many other issues, such as access to water or exposure to drugs or participation in governance. So how does the Urban Youth Fund address these?
So the Urban Youth Fund says that it focuses on the livelihoods of youth, and livelihoods does not only include job creation. It also includes all these issues that have been addressed, that have been posed by this person. And the Urban Youth Fund addresses these through the different thematic areas of work of UN Habitat. We encourage you to develop projects that promote, for example, access to water for youth, or you could also develop projects on how young people can participate more effectively in governance. You will see that UN Habitat has 7 thematic areas of work, and under each thematic areas of work, youth can contribute effectively. And this is what we are expecting and looking from you. We want you to tell us how you, young people, are addressing these issues, which are often linked to job creation in a certain way. So we are not only doing job creation, we encourage you to apply to projects that tackle issues which are related to the different problems that you are facing.
The other one is about an organization about these rights. Our work is an urban youth with disability performance arts. Do we stand a chance for funding?
Yes, the question is they're working with disabilities, young people who have disabilities in the area of performing arts. Yes, we do look at target populations of young people who have different disabilities. We have funded, each year we fund at least one organization that works with youth who have different disabilities. So yes, you still have a chance. Again, the issue is, can you put forward a proposal that is unique, that will make a positive impact to young people and the community? That's what you need to look at. If you could answer some of these questions very well in your proposal, then you will stand a very good chance of being funded. Thank you.
So there's a very encouraging comment from Farijika Farmers Group. She said that she's very impressed that this forum keeps everybody updated and will recommend that such interactions be scaled up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're still waiting for questions to stream in.
Okay. So since we've answered all the questions, we've gone through all the questions, we've answered them. I know there was one comment, someone asking if they're able to speak. Unfortunately, we're not able to get audio questions posted, so it's easier if you just post your questions on the YouTube chat and comment area. We shall take a break for about 10 minutes. Exactly 10 minutes, we'll be back online to pick up more questions, and then we shall continue this question and answer section. Thank you.